Hey, hello, hold on a second. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. How
Great.
are you?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. So, your story is quite amazing, and I would really like to know much more about it. So, if you can start from the beginning, it would be great, so I can get a general idea of the context and everything. That would be great, so I can better understand uh, how complicated your situation is. That apparently is very complicated, but I would like to know more.
Okay. It started when I moved with my family to Florida. Um, at one point, I have extended family there, my parents and other brothers and sisters. And they came over to our house at one point, and a friend was with them, a younger kid who said he had lost track of his parents and needed to use our phone um, and computer. And I let him. Uh, Come to find out, he had hacked those. I was not aware until I was being followed by locals who were doing things that I had said it privately, which is basically how I
Realize
realized,
that you were hacked.
yeah, that I was being hacked. But at this point, everyone kept telling me that it wasn't possible and this wasn't a thing. And so I suppose for a few months, I basically just ran around telling myself that I was making it up, that I was saying things that weren't happening. At some point, I saw cursor moving on the actual screen of my computer, realizing that because I had help at one point, so I had access. Someone had accessed my computer to be able to do that. So then I
Yes.
was completely sure. At that point, I shut everything down, and I basically printed out all the computer logs. Um, as I was going, I could sort of see it was attempting to gain access. By looking through the logs. When you're scrolling through them very quickly, you can almost see things just change as it happens.
Let me
Uh,
interrupt you.
sure.
You grabbed the logs from the event viewer.
I downloaded all of yes, the event viewer. That's the where you put it on the code, Unicode. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's a part where you can see security events, system events. You can see when an application is being opened. You can see basically all the activity of the computer. Uh,
Right. And I was going through really fast scrolling it, and it was showing attempts that it wasn't getting in, and then it showed it getting in. So I printed these logs out and I took them to the police. I notated on them where it looked to me like somebody had gained access. They,
I can imagine. Sorry to interrupt you. That they look at you with a weird face, and they were like saying, without saying anything, that what the hell is this woman bringing us?
right, yes. Especially because I didn't really. I mean, I think I still have the log somewhere, but I wasn't sure what was going on. I knew I had been hacked, and I didn't know if this showed it for sure. But I brought it to them. They were like, "Okay, fine, we'll take a copy, or we'll take those." And then I took it to the FBI because they said, "No, there's nothing we can do. We don't know what this is." But they still had their copies. I went to the FBI. The FBI took them, and then they said, came back and said, "Yes, you are being recorded, but if you're not doing anything, then you don't have anything to worry about." So uh, it went on for a while that I was still being followed. My husband started getting negative treatment from his work. Um, my neighbors, because I also I'm a professional singer, so sometimes when I would leave the house I would look different hair color, different, just different look than how I was in the house. So there started rumors that there were other people. I speak differently when I'm alone than when I'm actually intentionally speaking to someone. uh and so they basically thought that there were a number of people in the house, of women in the house. So my husband ends up fired. Everyone is still telling me at this point that nobody's done anything to me. I had been followed by, again, people in different areas. Other people would show up to watch when those people would be around me. So finally we just picked up and we moved.
Did you receive any kind of threat during all that time?
No, no, it was more like just mocking and that sort of thing, that sort of
Yeah.
behaviors.
Let,
Um,
let me interrupt you for a second. Uh, this room, basically, other people can come, but I am not allowing anyone to speak. So it's only you and I am recording this. So don't give any details, don't say anything that can identify you. But don't worry if some icons appear. It's just you and I.
okay. Um, I We left. We moved to another place. Uh, Things were fine. It started again, where sort of mocking behavior. People made assumptions about our jobs. I didn't know where they were getting information from. Uh, at that point, we my husband got a different job because this is one he had just taken because we left quickly at the other place. He got a third job. We moved to a new place, and it took a little while, but it started happening again. Um, and I'm trying to think exactly. I had
Did you change your devices, your computer, your cell phone, your equipment
Yes, we
when you
had
moved?
changed absolutely everything at that point. But I would say that we've I have a fairly unique name. Um, I wasn't trying to hide. I assumed that the problems I was having was just localized to the people that had done it. I didn't realize people were, passing that information along. Um, Originally, when it had happened, I also went to the parents of the original person that had access to my things, and I let them know what he had done. And apparently, they decided that I was the one that had done this and not their son. So, the behavior had intensified. Nothing stopped because I don't know. Some people don't want to believe their kids do anything wrong. Um, so, anyway, so we're in the third place. And after about a year, I started getting the same sort of treatments where people were leering at me and making, odd comments to me again. And I assumed that somehow my information or everything was being accessed again. Um, I started, my parents were making odd comments to me about behaviors and things that I was not doing, but they seemed completely sure that I was doing. My mother, who does not tend to read up on certain subjects, seemed to be knowledgeable about the facts, but completely wrong about the interpretations. So it felt like she was not following me on Twitter, but she was following someone who was intentionally misinterpreting me because she seemed to have all of this thought out and had discussed it with other people. But she wasn't actually following me. So uh, that made me very suspicious that there was an actual website that was being used to discredit me. At this point, I suppose I had started being very political, very liberal, um, trying to use my previous skills in marketing to uh, really try to get the points across that I was trying to make. And people were getting ugly. That's the comments that started coming from some of the people online. Uh, at that point, I had seen a lot of other women had been harassed, and I directly started tweeting to the Trump organization, to the White House, and linking up videos that I had found of, uh, you know, Donald Trump fondling someone on stage, or that sort of thing, because he was running for president at the time, and I was very determined to make sure that everybody had seen all the information I had seen. um, I think I attracted the attention of some people that,
So, sorry, we're talking about 2016.
yes, about 2016, correct. So I think I started attracting the attention of people that now were going out of their way to uh, seriously take me down. Um, so I'm trying to think what happened. So at this point, again, I'm being followed. I'm being just harassed, and I have social anxiety. So I decided I was going to hire a cybersecurity expert to look into uh, exactly what had happened in the original place with the original person. So I tend to talk to myself, or I used to talk to myself all the time. So I sort of worked it out in my head who I was going to talk to, who I was going to call. And I had looked before in the area for a cybersecurity person or a private investigator, and I didn't really see anyone. And then after having these sort of internal conversations, the next time I went online, there was the perfect person that was, you know, it was a woman. She had had military experience, everything I was looking for, um, in the area. So I immediately called, and I just started dumping all of my personal information and gave her all of my information because I was so, happy to find exactly what I was looking for. That it wasn't until later that I thought, I probably should have done a little bit more investigation on this.
Yes,
So,
if somebody appears out of the blue and it's exactly what you're looking for, you are too lucky, or there's something strange going on, and people are not very lucky normally.
right, exactly. And since I had already looked and there was nothing even similar, and then suddenly there was this perfect thing. But I tend to get, when I'm in these sort of anxious states, I just can't think as clearly, I suppose. So I did it, and then I called her. Immediately afterwards, I thought, oh, that didn't even seem like a very professional exchange. She sent me a link that had shown, some weird stuff like, do you want to take down corporations, and do you want to do all this stuff? And it was like, no, I'm a stay at home mom that's being, harassed and terrorized. That has nothing to do with what I just said. So I was like, that looks bad. And then I went back on her website, and there had been like 100 likes or hits or something. And if it was just our conversation, there's no way that that would have happened if I just called a random business, because she wasn't getting that kind of traffic before. So then I decided, okay, great. I probably have already been. being listened to. But now I've done this thing with this other person. Plus, I went back on the website, she had all these spelling errors and all of this stuff I would normally would have noticed. But again, I was so agitated at the time that I, you know, wasn't being careful at all. So, after a while, I started getting followed here. Like, I mean, just everyone. I mean, there were just so many people that were following me around, and talking about how, oh, you come from California, and I can't believe you moved here. And I knew what they were talking about, but again, you don't. There's the point where you're telling yourself this is not happening. This can't possibly be happening. When you're a civilian, you have no idea. You know, you just keep blowing it off. And then my husband, I love him very much, but he, unless something is happening to him personally, is very much like, no, that's not happening. Just ignore it. So, anyway, I give the address, or I go to the address and I click on the ability to look at the code. I download, because I am only on mobile at this point. I'm not doing any computer anymore because I'm, having all of these interactions, and I'm like, forget it. I won't even go on the computer. So I go into her website and download all of the code, because I don't know how to do any of it, but I have done just enough to know how to basically look at the breakdowns and look up each section. And so I did that with everything. I just went through section by section and looked it up. And then there came a section which talked about being linked to some sort of pay sites, Indian pay sites or something. And there were two different ones. I can't remember what they were called, but I started taking pictures of everything at that point. So I just, highlighted the stuff that looked sketchy, and, just told myself, okay, that was it. I'm going to delete this and hopefully everything will be fine. And after that, I went through all of my personal accounts, because I realized after she had done that, that there was, I was already open, that things already had been hacked. So I went through everything and I found an email address hooked to my email address that was from 2016. And at this point, it had already been like a year and a half. And it had a bunch of encrypted stuff in there, and it was like a UK address. And so I didn't know what it was, but I, immediately like changed the password on the account, because, it was still under my name, even though I couldn't access anything in it. So I changed it, took over the account, and then just deleted everything in it, because I didn't know what it was, or, I didn't know if that's how she was getting it or what was going on. Excuse me. So I'm trying to think exactly what happened after that. Again, I took photographs of it.
Yeah, you couldn't identify what those things that you say were encrypted actually were. You just deleted them.
Yeah, I just deleted everything in there, after I screenshotted the fact that it was there. Again, because at this point I was trying to prove to people that that something was happening. So I figured that because I'd had that situation with the FBI earlier, I assumed that somebody would be watching everything that I was doing. So I just started photographing everything that seemed weird. I started looking at myself online more. And even though at the beginning, I have a unique name and I was always showing up at the top, suddenly these other accounts that for no reason, uh, were starting to show up above me. So then I was going and looking into these accounts. They were using, some of them had my name. There were other accounts that were using my password as the name of the account. And a lot of them were like on sex sites. And uh, so I started going into things like, I can't remember what it, Picky You or something. And my name was in there, but it was a hashtag. and it was, like a ridiculous pictures or ridiculous things, and I thought, well, there's no reason anybody would be on this website or use my name unless they were trying to like pass something along, maybe. So then I went in there and I did the same thing. I looked at all the code. I highlighted things that, you know looked like the words they were using were sketchy, and took pictures of it so that if somebody else wanted to look at it or investigate it or figure out what it was, that maybe they would do it and maybe that would help me.
Yeah, from what you have told me so far, sorry to interrupt you. For me, the red alert, the major red alert is what you told me about usernames having your password. That's basically gives no room to doubt that you have been absolutely hacked.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, I knew, and then it got to the point where I also do other things online. I used to shop auctions, and then all of a sudden my auctions, at one point, I also have a background in art history, so I found really, expensive great items. I've always shopped vintage, and I used to find deals on them and be able to get them, and I do a lot of research and all of this, and then suddenly all of my items were getting outbid, sometimes just barely. um, and I would bid as much as I could afford, but still much, 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 much less than a lot of the items were worth. And some items that weren't worth very much, you know, those would get bid to right under, so that I would have to pay the maximum amount of whatever the item was. And I realized that was a problem in being hacked when I accidentally bid and forgot the decimal point on something. And it was like $2,800 for a shirt, just a basic little shirt or something. And it got bid all the way up, and I won it for $2,800. And I was like, there's no way someone else is, you know, bidding a ridiculous amount on this, $15 shirt or whatever it was, $30 shirt. So that made me sure that now something was happening with this website, this auction website, where I was being either hacked or the person that was running the website had access to, you know, my photos, could tell what I had researched on and that sort of thing, just because the prices were just so close and this was happening completely out of the blue. Once it started, it wouldn't stop. Um, then I started receiving packages that had been opened already. And I thought, okay, now someone is trying to figure out, am I on these expensive items? How am I getting this information? Because at this point, I know that there is a website where I've been so humiliated and debased on this website that no one could believe that I personally was actually finding these expensive items on my own. My parents actually commented to me when I talked about buying stuff online that they they thought that because I can paint a little bit, they thought maybe I was trying to copy things, or they didn't realize that I was actually finding these items, researching them myself. So I think someone else at some point decided that they were going to just try to take my identity, because my Twitter website, was doing very well up till this point where all of uh, the sex websites and all of that started showing up. Suddenly, I was losing followers. And I wasn't gaining anything. And all of my regular people that would retweet stopped retweeting me. So then I assumed somebody was sending these people these websites. Um, Again, I'm not very, great on the computer. So I looked and I ended up there. My Twitter is set so that anyone can sign in. And it looks like I'm a business, and I've given all these people permission to do all of this stuff on my website. Um, let's see what else. There's
And you were quite active in Twitter. It was your main social network.
Yes, I was getting very, very large. responses on this political stuff that I was tweeting, um, up until I started being basically humiliated, and then people stopped following and people stopped. That's what makes me think that that had something to do with it being political. I also ended up on the list of a website that said these people are working for communist Russia, and but if you look it up there, it was paid for by a GOP group. So there's a hashtag with the name of my website or the name of my Twitter on there. So now I'm being specifically targeted by a paid group that's trying to imply that I'm a Russian, that I'm Russian. I did have a background in Russian. I'm a military veteran. I, you know, was in a long time ago, but I speak just enough to be able to follow some of the stuff in Russian. And then, I use the translate to do the rest of it. So then I assumed that this had something to do with that. Also, the person that I called, the night that I called her and gave her the information about who the person was that had originally hacked me, that person died. So I don't know if they killed themselves or if they were dealing with some bad people, but it happened the exact same night. Um, so let me see what else. Sorry, I had to delete all my pictures that I usually use to keep track of what's going on. The local people around me start doing things that I've talked about. I was saying, oh, if I, just get some people to wear these green shirts, then I can put together a landscaping company, and I'm very like, I'm going to do this job or this job, and that's just always the way I've been. Um, and I've done a lot of different things, opened a little, I've had different stores and things like that. But anyway, a bunch of people start showing up in these bright green shirts doing landscaping jobs. And I'm thinking, are they just taking my ideas? I can't really tell what's going on. I look up some of my old websites. One of them ended up being like selling knockoffs of designer merchandise, and they were using my name. So now there's things that they're doing illegally that they're putting my name on them. And the police are treating me like I am doing these illegal things, because even though my website might be very high end and the things that I'm doing, I'm just a regular person. Again, I'm a stay at home mom. My husband works a regular job. We both used to work, but I have an autistic son, so I've been basically at home for the last 12 years, taking care of him, with the expectation that when I went back to work, I would be using my site sort of as a springboard to be able to have a business of some sort, either singing professionally again, or, sales, marketing, vintage, whatever, all of those things. Um, some of my regular followers were responding to me without me having spoken to them sexually. So I thought, okay, yeah, some of these people are definitely getting offers by somebody that makes them think it's really me. So then this girl that was pretending to be me, she has the same facial molds. She's um, wearing clothes that I bought from Japan, or on Alibaba from China. So she completely looks like me. She's got big glasses on. You can't really see the rest. Um, so now I'm trying to tell people that this is not me, that I, have nothing to do with this. What else? Okay, so then locally here, I know all my pictures are hacked because my neighbors start coming up with items that I have purchased online wearing the same items. I see them performing for video cameras for other neighbors, doing inappropriate things, and now I'm thinking, okay, now they're making new videos because I am no longer speaking aloud. Um, I'm no longer going outside. So someone is just taking over whatever it was that my identity was at that point. I can't get them to stop because they think I'm the one broadcasting live audio and video, even though I'm not even 100% sure that it's happening. Once I talk to them and I say, hey, you can't just do that. And they're like, yeah, sure, I can. So they, again, they think I'm doing it, that I'm broadcasting, and they have every right to just use the audio and video and manipulate it in whatever way they want to. Not long after that, I find a new online thing from Google that has not my name, but a very similar name, who is a child predator, male child predator. I start getting, uh, now it starts getting threatening, the people that I'm running into. They think I'm transgender, they think I'm a sex offender. Um, I end up going to the hospital for a, I go to my dentist. My dentist does some weird thing where normally you're watching videos, but then there was a bunch of words on the screen I couldn't read. He ends up putting some big metal tooth in my mouth that's too big for my mouth. Um, they're really aggressive the whole time. Um, at the same time, I see people in the room next to me, or in the waiting room, that have been following me. So now they're doing something. I don't know what it is, but they were right in the room next to me. They take an impression of the tooth that they just put in my mouth, which made no sense to me. I don't know what's going on. Later on, people are stealing my garbage. Um, I don't know what I'm thinking they're trying to set me up for something. All of the neighbors start hanging out at different houses. I had also said, if I had the opportunity, I would have somebody work in my house, live there for free and do upgrades. It sort of looks like this is happening around me. I feel like somebody is just taking my ideas and then trying to get rid of me. Now my neighbors are treating me like we're all in this together, like I am intentionally setting stuff up that they can make money off of. All the while people are stealing my actual sales, and I'm being hurt. I go to my appointment that I'm told that I need to have for my insurance company in order to not pay uh, increased rates. They, um, I have to wait in the waiting room. I'm with my husband, but I see a bunch of people in the waiting room that all look like people I've seen around. Somebody is taking Polaroids while I'm there of a woman with some children, which is odd. They have a way you can sign in and it takes your photo, but my husband and I were the only ones that used that. Everyone else that came in, they took photo, Polaroids of. He goes in for his exam. I go in for mine next. They, I have an internal exam that's done very aggressively, and I get hurt during this exam. Basically, I'm assaulted during this exam. Um, at the end of it, this person, this doctor says, she whispers to me, sorry, um, and leaves. And I am just flabbergasted about what's happening. It felt wrong right from the beginning, but again, I was sort of like, this can't really be happening. So I check my records later, and somebody has accessed my medical records and they're wrong. They've been changed. They say that I've had operations that I didn't have. They said that the ones I did have, I had much, much, much earlier than I had. And it made it look like I was a much older person than I actually am. Um, so now this person tries to send me to a specific counselor for drug treatments, for anxiety, which I had asked them for something for anxiety, and they said that we don't use that kind of counseling, but you can go to this person. So they send me to this person, or they try to send me to this person, but I don't want to go after my experience. So anyway, maybe a few days later, I realized that I now have some sort of internal damage from the violent exam that I received. Um, I go back to the doctor and ask a different to see a different person, and I say, I think that that doctor raped me, and she had somebody in the room with her that was watching, and I think she might have recorded it. And she was like, okay, hold on, let me go. And she went out to the hallway and spoke to some girls. And she came back and she said, oh, she was just doing this, sort of exam or whatever. And I said, well, you're not supposed to do that. I have an IUD. You're not supposed to be that aggressive anyway. And I looked it up, and you're not supposed to have to do that at all. That wasn't even supposed to be part of my exam. I just let her do it because she walked me through it, and I figured she was the doctor. You know, go ahead and whatever you're supposed to do. So anyway, I'm at this point, I am just not, I'm trying not to think of anything. I'm so terrorized now. I don't know where to go or what to do. Everyone is treating me like I am trash, like I have done these things or whatever's going on. Again, I still don't have actual access to anything that's going on aside from having found things in code or making assumptions based on the way I'm being treated. And then again, finding the records. And that one, and I found that an MD5 site that was dedicated, and it had my name. And I look it up, and it said, this can be used to do your e-signature. And it started to make more sense, because when I went into these places, these doctors, even though they were professionals, they were already like knew, they were already doing stuff and had already made decisions about what was going on. So I'm figuring that somebody had sent them something of my signature, or fake signature. um I just
Sorry, you mean electronic signature?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And that's when I figure that somebody has had access to the information from the original hacking, and probably had enough audio and video of me to create whatever they wanted to at that point on, especially when they had my neighbors dressed kind of like me, wearing the same clothes that everyone saw that I had bought online. And uh, they were all treating me like I was, some people were saying, waving to me or talking to me like we'd had conversations. Um, and we had not had conversations. I didn't know who half these people were. So then I was positive that that's what was happening. Somebody was, using the internet to make it look like I was doing these things. Um, I went to the police, and I was treated basically like I was crazy. Like they believed I had done these things as well. They were I just put in a FOIA to get copies of everything. I got a copy of my police report about the assault, and when it came back, it basically said, we're she basically said, we can't arrest this person because there was no malice, not because it didn't happen or that they couldn't even prove it would happen. So when I got the report, it basically said there was an exception in the disposition of the case. So I looked that up, and that basically says, we can't tell you who the person is. Um, so then I look at the rest of the stuff, and it's all wrong. The time of the assault is wrong. The My nationality is wrong on the thing. It says if I have facial hair, it says unknown. So now I'm sure that they think that I am uh, have had a sex change and that I have done stuff, you know, done something wrong. Um, I also got called at one point to a an interview with one of the police officers, which was like 40 minutes away from where I live. My son, who is 15, goes out for the first time with friends of his to the mall the same day that I'm out at this interview. Um, I get lost because my GPS goes crazy. So I have to stop and drive around, and I finally make it to the place, and I'm ended up being run by the mall. I didn't realize it was the mall. My son, without telling me, had gone out of town to the mall, and my GPS ends running me right by him. So it looks like now I'm out there with my son, even though I have nothing to do with that. I don't even know he's there. Um, People keep putting their kids in front of me, like I I don't I don't know, again, I don't know exactly what was happening, but they were definitely, I don't know if they were offering them to me or just seeing if I would do something. Or I also have pictures of mid-century modern art that I took photographs of little kids, like me showed, or there's from the 60s. They had a lot of those kid pictures, mid-century. um, so I would see these kids and they would look like the kids in these pictures. So I thought, do they think I'm painting pictures of kids? I see a photo, there's a Polaroid that comes up on my Twitter that has two little girls that look like the girls in one of the paintings I have, with a dog that looks like my dog. Somebody comments about the fact I was building a wall, that there was a hole in it, a hole in the wall. And I thought, do they think that I'm keeping kids in the wall of my house? Again, the way people were treating me was so, it wasn't violent, but if you could hurt somebody with your eyes, that's what a lot of people were doing. Um, so basically now I just got, I just tried to get rid of the other account, which I had been running for, many, many years, which was a valuable thing to me, which is not anymore. I don't know if I should change my name. Like I said, I'm a singer, so I can't just.
Sorry, I accidentally mute you. Sorry.
Okay. Um, I don't know if I should just duck out at that point. What I'm supposed to do. So anyway, that's where I am now. I have been told to. Oh, so then I went to the FBI because I was not getting any help. I got my FOIA request, but it was taking a while. My military records all got stolen. My everything I had got stolen that could identify me as the person who owned this account, and the person that was talking about all of these ideas, and all of everything disappeared. So then I go and at, when I go to report to the police, at one point I tell them that I all I have left is my birth certificate, and I want to just show it so people would know that it was me. And one of the police officers said, "Well, you don't want to do that. You want to hold on to that because you're not going to get another one." And I thought, why wouldn't I get another birth certificate? So then I think, okay, so they definitely think I'm not who I say I am. My military records, at this point I've filed to get a replacement, but when I went to the place where I needed to print out the forms, somebody had already pulled up on one of the screens the website where you get someone's military information. So now I'm thinking, are they trying to get those records, or what are they trying to do? I don't have access to my own records anymore. All they have to do at this point is send something in that says, there's somebody had died that was exactly the same age as I was, that had a similar name. So I felt like they were trying to again, make it look like I did not exist. I told my parents, and they were like, "Well, you didn't do those. You didn't finish your military stuff, right?" And I was like, "No, I did it. I went to the second thing. I got this next school. I have enough points for retirement. I'm supposed to get a military burial." My parents are somehow under the impression that I didn't even, I wasn't even in the military. Now, my husband and I actually lived together and were stationed together. So, he is the proof that these things are real, but literally that's all I have as that I exist, or that I have existed in the past. I went on a vet rex, which you are supposed to be able to just put in your social and everything, and it'll pull up your stuff. It says that my social does not exist for a military member. So I haven't tried to get my college credits yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be the same. And if they have these abilities to sign my e-signatures, maybe they've made these changes. I don't know. I know a lot of these systems, when they were originally made, did not have all the security in place, and most of them haven't been upgraded. So it shouldn't be that hard for someone who has some experience, I guess, to go in and just get rid of it. So I go to the FBI to give them my phone. I show up. I'm in the little shack, the visitor's shack where you just pass through. They make me wait there for like an hour with my phone just sitting there.
So,
Um,
sorry. I want to ask you a question
sure.
because I am not familiar completely with the structure of the law enforcement there. Did you go to FBI cyber or FBI?
Um, the first place when I went originally, I went to there. They had a cyber person look when I was on the computer. This time, I just went to the gatehouse of the local FBI building. And the guy said, who was the guard, said to me, "Okay, they're going to try to find somebody, and if they're gonna, they'll see you here, inside here, or they'll take you inside." And I thought, that's weird, they're gonna do an interview in the guard shack. Okay. So then somebody comes out to the guard shack where my phone has been sitting basically open the whole time, because I had planned on them giving them my phone and everything that was on it, because I know I haven't done anything. Even if something exists, I've never seen it. I just have this code or whatever that I've highlighted and stuff. um the person comes in and basically tries to tell me, "Okay, we can't help you um, unless, because this assault or this stuff with the police, this doesn't really have anything to do with us." But he came out anyway, and he kept asking me about stuff. And then finally, when I got to the point where I was like, "Oh, this kid where I used to live," and he was like, "What kid?" And I was like, "Well, the person that originally hacked me, he was a kid," and that, told him the story about how he came over and, manipulated the situation. And then he was like, "Well, um, we can't do anything here with you unless, the FBI wouldn't get involved unless there was a child that was assaulted." And I said, "No, there was no children assaulted. There was only me. I was assaulted." And he was like, "Okay, well, we don't really have anything to do with that." But it made me feel like, there's something going on that they are trying to pin on me, or they were trying to get information out of me to see if I knew something about, I can only guess that this kid eventually told them, "Yes, I did something," because, he was going to be in trouble for telling his parents. So, but he tries to talk me out of the fact that these other things were happening. He has no desire to look at my phone at all, even though I have all of the information, which is also why I'm pretty sure they just downloaded it while I was there. I was there for a long time. I was in that room for probably an hour. While I was there in this guard shack, an older woman comes in, and at the same time, the FedEx guy comes in, and she starts yelling at him, which is odd because she came from inside, not outside, and she's yelling at this FedEx guy, and my FedEx packages have been opened. And I thought, is she trying to distract this guy or making it look like we're together? Because also, There is a rumor that there is an old woman that lived in this house, and now she's gone because I was older looking and heavier before my assault. I lost 25 pounds in like, 3 months or whatever from not being able to actually digest, process any food. Um, I had dyed my hair because it was blonde for a while. Um, and I think they were trying to make it look like I and this woman were there together. And it keeps happening where these older women keep coming around in front of my house, again, wearing some clothes that I've bought. Some things I buy for me, some things I buy for resale. So some of them are older ladies type clothes. I think people were seeing my pictures and just creating a story um, about what those pictures meant. Uh, and I think that this FBI person was involved because I showed him my birth certificate. And he said, okay, well, we can tell, you're a real person. This is really, um, you're real, you're not this other criminal or whatever. So, you don't have to worry about, you're not going to be in trouble. And I was like, I don't think I'm in trouble. I'm being assaulted. I'm being attacked. I know I haven't done anything, but I am being hurt by this over and over again. Um, and he was like, well, I'm sure that's not the case, and basically trying to talk me out of, again, gaslighting me. This didn't happen. You're probably just making stuff up. You're probably just this, that, or the other. And then when I get home, I asked him for a card before I leave, and he won't give me a card. And I thought, well, that's weird because now I can't verify that I spoke to him. So I asked him for his name again just so I could remember it. And as soon as I got home, I looked his name up, and it was him. And he ends up being some sort of specialist in cyber whatever, talking about qubits. So he has just pretended the whole time that he has no idea what's going on, and while at the same time this other woman is pretending like she's with me. Now I feel like, well, are they involved in whatever's going on? Are they are they buying out my high-end artworks that I should have been winning but someone else is winning? Are they using my purchases to transport things? I received a large picture at one point. I bought it for a fairly inexpensive amount, got a price that it was going to cost to ship, and then I kept getting calls and calls and calls about it was going to go up and it was going to go up and it was going to go up. So I was basically having to almost rebid for my own merchandise. And then when I get it here, it's ripped open. There's nothing, the back is open. And I'm like, why? It wasn't like that when I bought it online, when I first saw it, and now I'm getting this thing. Are they shipping things inside my pictures? I shop enough that I could be a very consistent conduit if they're trying to send things. I'm getting packages that have been opened. So that's kind of where I am now. I'm waiting for the I'm waiting for the actual reports. I've been told that there is hours and hours of uh, film or recordings. Even though I personally only had these weird short recordings, one of the officers that I saw, she isn't even on the report anymore. So I'm thinking, okay, they are trying to set me up. Maybe somebody got caught and someone is trying to make me the patsy now. And that's where I am now.
Yes. First of all, going back from the start, uh, it's interesting that when you went to the FBI for the first time, they told you that yeah, something's going on with your cellular or your equipment, but as nothing has happened to you, there is nothing they could do. That's basically what you told me, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Which basically is completely absurd because if you are victim of hacking, that's a crime. I mean, that's something that should be prosecuted. It's not like, okay, nothing happened to you, so there's nothing we can do. That's not an answer that is expected or reasonable.
Hmm.
Second, going even back, uh, how this guy show up and this did all this? I mean, I don't understand the reason why uh, that might have happened. Out of the blue, this person went to your house, used your equipment, and hacked you.
Well, what
Uh,
happened is, when we moved out to where my family is, I did not live with my family after I moved out. I joined the military and got married right away. The rest of my children moved with my parents to a more conservative area. Um, they, when we moved out there, when I moved out there, their assumption was that I had failed in whatever I had tried and was moving out there because of this. So I was being treated very poorly by my family. So I kept trying to move away from them, even though we had already moved out there and I moved my family out there. So we lived near them at first, and then it was just always confrontational. So then we moved out further away so that, I could make excuses and not have to see them. But I lived where it was a tourist area. So my family would come out for events, um, and they would go and they would do events without me in the air, but I would be right there. So basically what happened was this person came with one of my family members saying we were at this event and we lost the adults, so can we stay here? So even though I had already had this not great relationship, and I was trying to, not have anything to do with them, they intentionally came over to do this. Also, immediately after, not immediately, but pretty close after, kids started parking right in front of my house and going on their phones. And that's why I also assumed that my Wi Fi was originally hacked and they were doing something on my Wi Fi.
yeah, uh, I have to tell you that all you're telling me reminds me of a movie. I don't know if you have watched it, The Net with Sandra Bullock, where they basically destroy all her records, her life, and she was desperate to try to prove she was herself. Uh, and
I
second, all
haven't seen it in so I have seen it, but I haven't in so long. But yeah.
yeah, I basically that I haven't seen it like in 20 years, but what you're telling me triggered something in my mind and made me remember that movie. And well, all you're telling me uh, involves a lot of resources. I mean, altering your clinical records, doing all the things that you have told me. Uh, th- they don't nobody does that for somebody who is an average person. uh,
Right.
I mean, I cannot imagine. I mean, if somebody wanted to do something to you, it's much easier to kill you than doing all this stuff, this nightmare that you are living. So
Right. Well, I
uh,
have been I don't leave my house. I was followed. Like I was, because my GPS was being hacked. At one point I got stopped on the freeway in a place that was nobody was there, but I managed to get around the block and get past it. And once I got past it, the GPS changed again. So I thought maybe I was trying somebody was trying to hurt me at some point, and that is the point at which I started putting everything online. Everything that happened to me, even though this was supposed to be my professional business account, I felt like if I did not start saying something, the truth that they put in my mouth, it doesn't fit. It's not the right size. And they had to go down 2 sizes to even get it in there. So are they trying to make it look like if something happened to me that they would have this? Because like I said, I was at one point, somebody tried to get me on a side of the freeway. um
Yeah,
and
but that also involves, I mean, hacking a GPS is something that is completely possible. That
Mhm.
can be done without any doubt.
Right.
But doing that, altering your medical records, uh, making disappear your records in other places, uh, following, getting people to follow you. Imagine all the resources that involves. I mean, that's something.
I think because they stole my actual heart, like they stole all of my military records. I think somebody was using those to, somebody who was a criminal had basically, without my knowledge, somewhere else already been me, was already using those things. I've also pulled up my social security number for the past, 2 years, and they're not available, but I suspect that there's going to be a lot of purchases or things on there that, that somebody who was using my identity is doing.
Do
Somebody.
you have information regarding your credit record?
I do not. I just looked up my social security number. But like I said, I don't know if there was any purchases made in the last, I mean, not purchases, if there was any business income in the last 2 years. As far as my regular credit, no, I have terrible credit. I have no money. But everyone around me seems to think that I'm doing these things, that I'm getting. I have very nice things for the amount of money that I make. I have very expensive things, but that's because I'm a professional auction shopper. So I look like I have money I don't have. So I'm not sure if people thought I was breaking the law and that they were just going to go along for the ride and make money as well. Um, like I said, I don't know. I won't know for sure what's going on, or at least a lot more of what's going on, until I get these police records. Because like I say, once the police start altering what actually happened, I feel like, that's dangerous.
Yes, that's the worst part. And regarding what you told me about your Twitter, not suspicious activity, I mean, activity that was absolutely uh, n- not correct, the fake usernames and all that.
Right.
If you field report for that, the law enforcement have all the power. I mean, they are able to get all the information from Twitter regarding the users, the IPs, and who created each account. Those accounts that you mentioned that have the username that was your password. All that
Hmm.
information is accessible, but by law enforcement without any problem. I mean, Twitter provides that information to law
They
enforcement all the
they didn't
time.
want to see it. They didn't want to see it. When I first found the other accounts and all of this stuff going on, I called, and I actually only called because we had a hit and run, and somebody, at that point I was like, okay, I'm going to report this hit and run, because now I don't even know if it was on purpose. It was while we were out of the car. um, but somebody else took a photograph of it when it happened, so I reported it, and the guy says, I show him all of this stuff that I've seen, and he's like, oh well, yeah, it looks like you can tell something's going on, but we can't really do anything about that. Let me know if they steal something off your credit card. So that was the amount of help that, I mean, that was it. So I didn't call them either when I found out my documents were missing, and someone else wanted to know why, and they got angry when I didn't say that. And I felt like, well, I didn't call because nothing ever comes of it. No one ever helps me when something happens. When I first found out the problem, that something was happening, nobody would do anything. And when I found out something else out here, nobody cares. So, until it got to the point where I was assaulted, I didn't really push anything. And now, even with that, I possibly would have let it go if I hadn't actually been injured.
Yes, and unfortunately, what you're telling me about the attitude of law enforcement in this kind of cases is the rule, not the exemption. Uh, all the people that not to this extreme situation that you're living, but cases of harassment, of cyberbullying, uh, they go to report that to the police, and they do absolutely nothing. They don't care. They just, I mean, it's not that they don't know what to do. They just don't care. I mean,
I agree.
i-
I don't think they care because they were like, toughen up kind of thing.
yeah, you're bothering us. Why did you came to us with all this? I mean, you are a problem for them, and uh, that's what my experience have told me. Listening to a lot of cases of this kind. I mean, regular people seeking for help, being victims of different kind of cyber crimes.
Hmm.
Nobody ever gets help from the police. They are
Hmm.
just frustrated. They get upset because they do nothing. They never solve anything, and you are a person who has you are a victim of a crime, and basically they are there to protect you, to prosecute those crimes, and you see that nothing is being done, and that's the most frustrating thing in the world, because if they don't help you, who's going to help you? I mean, you are alone, living in hell, and where do you go? What do you do? uh, you
Yes.
you you go to the FBI, that is the place that is supposed to be the place where eventually, if the police cannot help you, the FBI is the place where you should get the support, the help, uh, and take your case seriously, and conduct an investigation properly, and you get what you told me. I mean, you talk to somebody that pretends to know nothing and doesn't want to know anything, and then you find out he's from cyber. That doesn't make any sense. That only, only puts you in a situation where you feel completely helpless. Uh, and I, yeah, I kind of think I understand how you feeling, completely lost, and what you were telling me, that you didn't know what to do. It's completely understandable. uh it's
I started
something.
running around just photographing everyone. I've been taking pictures of all of the cars that have been, you know, driving by. I mean, I just feel like, especially because when I am being uh, harassed or bullied or whatever at the time, even with the parts that are not where I'm not physically hurt, I cannot think. I cannot clearly think. So I just started, taking photographs, and then that way I figured I could look at them later, when I
Yes,
had time.
the fact is that you became paranoid eventually. I mean, it's psychologically something that destroys you with time, and you cannot cope with that for such a long time without having consequences. I mean, you eventually become paranoid. You don't trust anything.
No.
You, I
No, I was going to
mean,
leave my husband. We've been married for 30 years. And he can't believe me. He just can't support me the way that I need because it seems too unbelievable. And so
uh,
he's angry and he's upset. And it's been going on forever for him, too.
But wait, did he was he victim of any kind of situation like the ones you have to live?
Him? No. He is no. Because he almost refuses to get to be on my side. He is not, it is not us against them, it is me against everyone else.
So basically, you are alone talking to me, doing catharsis. I can understand you because uh, my relationship with law enforcement is like, for me they are the enemy. If anything happens to me, I think that the last thing I will do will go to the police, or if it is a computer related crime, I will not in this lifetime go to report that to them, because they basically are stupid, they're incompetent, they made me live in hell. So I understand you. Well, I understand how it feels, uh, but it's all very strange, and I don't really understand why would somebody spend so many resources on an average person. You have that theory that somebody was using your identity. Uh,
I think that this is what I think. I think it started out with the the kid that hacked me. I think that they were getting uh views, as kids, Bitcoin, things like that. Because I was also very into, like when I started looking, like in 2011 or 12, whenever it started, looking into Bitcoin. And there again, the area I was in was everyone was very interested in cyber everything. So I think maybe the kids, for adults, it might not have been worth it, but for the kids, I think they might have been doing that. After we left, because somebody was making it look like it was me and other people, um, I think that they just continued on with whatever that was. I don't know if there were kids involved. I don't know if it was just fake that they were doing, if it was like, because everyone was watching. I do know all of these local people, lots and lots of people seemed to know what was going on when I was trying to figure out what was happening. Um,
Did you
so
sorry, did you actually, you mentioned that you were suffering obviously from anxiety, and you didn't mention, you didn't tell me if you actually got support, and you got treatment for the anxiety, or your
I
mental
did.
health.
I did go to see someone. I went to see a counselor, and while I was there, he seemed to at first I was waiting, and then he said, I want, come back, or, come back in a while. When I came back, it seemed as though he had gotten access to whatever the original videos that people had put up, from the original hacking, or photos, or because I let my husband take inappropriate pictures also because he was so sure nobody was watching. Um, so there was stuff that they could have used. And I think when this kid got caught, that he tried to say that I was the one that, started all of this. um, so when I was at this place, I ended up being made to wait till the end of the day, and a whole bunch of people came in that seemed to be there by court order. So it's almost like he made me wait until these, like it wasn't court ordered, but that's who was there at the same time I ended up speaking to him. And uh I just told him I needed an anxiety medicine. That's why I was going to see him. That's, I didn't really know for sure that I was just getting harassed, and if I could just get some, I thought I was going to explode if anyone just looked at me weird. And he said to me, the internet is an awful place and it's a dangerous place these days. And I thought,
Oh, wow. Don't tell me. I can't believe it's dangerous. Don't you know what the hell I'm living in? Uh,
yeah,
Basically, all you needed was Xanax. That's all you needed. Not that.
Right. So, you know, I have a regular anxiety medicine, and that's where I am now. Is I feel like I'm going to go back in. My husband and I are going to go back in for counseling to kind of get through with what's been happening. Um, he's still though, no matter what I find, he refuses to believe that the next step has happened, how bad it is. So he's never quite on board.
Yeah, the point is that you are obviously a victim of a cybercrime. I mean, they're using technological tools in order to affect your life, to to make you live the life that you're living. Uh, and that should be, I mean, FBI cyber should uh, take that issue
Yes,
and investigate. I mean, those are
I
the
I
people.
found I found stuff that had been, you know, I set, what's it called? What did I say?
Logs.
When encrypted, a bunch of
Y-
encrypted stuff. So obviously something was going on.
Yeah, I mean, you do you have the picture that you said before deleting those files from the email that
I did. I think I uploaded everything to the cloud, so I think it's still there. It's not in my actual phone because I couldn't up. I couldn't. My phone was so messed up that I had to just wipe everything up to start. It wouldn't allow me to load everything up, but I
Yeah,
think.
and as I told you that yesterday or the day before, to
Hmm.
install this software lookup in order
Yeah.
to try first to see if it installs, because
Right.
if it didn't install, that means that something is preventing that software to be installed and uh, search for malware or any malicious
Yeah.
software installed. And if an antivirus or any other software for that is not being installed by your cellular, means something is running and is preventing that from running because it's preventing that from uh, being detected. So if it didn't run, that is not a good signal.
Right. Yeah, it didn't run, so that's why I wiped it. Like on this stuff I have now, I did uploaded it and it was able to upload it after I did that, after I got rid of everything. Um but even then it was difficult because I was trying to upload it and it kept saying my Wi-Fi wouldn't stay hooked up long enough for it to upload to the cloud. It kept kicking it off. And so finally that's when I just finally just deleted everything without, you know, continue to try to upload it because again, nobody cared anyway. And I assume when I went to the FBI that they just uploaded it off my phone because my phone was sitting there for like an hour open.
Yes, the yeah, maybe the thing is that basically photographs, printed records of digital evidence are not legally admissible evidence in any case. The
Hmm.
evidence should be always be preserved in its original form, and in all these cases its original forms is digital.
Hmm.
So a screenshot is not something that can be taken as admissible evidence of anything.
Hmm.
But they have the tools in order to grab the information from your cell, to clone it, to research on the copies of the evidence, because you never uh, do any research on the original evidence in digital format, because you can damage or alter it. And
Hmm.
if you alter the evidence, you're basically making it the integrity is being compromised and it's not admissible.
Hmm.
So it's all a procedure of computer forensics that should be followed in order to guarantee the integrity of the information. That it's something that should be performed only by people with the credentials to do that. And if you go with your logs that you mentioned that you printed from your computer, from the event logger of your PC and all that,
Mhm.
well, you went to the police and you gave them that, and I completely understand. I mean, that they look at you and they said, they thought to themselves, what the hell is this crazy woman giving us? Uh, why?
Mhm.
I mean, what is she doing? uh,
Mhm.
but it's really disgusting and upsetting, the lack of they don't will to help. I mean, to guide you, to tell you where to go, what to do. Okay, maybe we cannot help you because we are we don't have the skills, we are not prepared to deal with this, but you have to go to this place and we will generate the link to between you and the agency in order to solve this. But uh, apparently, from what you're telling me, and as I told you, the experience from hearing tens of stories, that never happens. You are alone, and nobody is going to help you. That's the sad reality. And basically, one of the things that you did that were perfect was trying to find a professional in computer forensics, in cybersecurity, in order to investigate what was going on. But unfortunately, you were lucky to find the perfect person that basically, uh, I am not that lucky. I mean, if you are so lucky, uh, that's strange. I mean, I don't think you are so lucky to find exactly the person you are looking for out of the blue.
Right.
So, if you should have been able to get actually somebody uh, that with the profile that you were looking for, that was real, that would really have helped you, because a real professional in this field could have grabbed all the evidence in a proper way, could have investigated, researched, and find anything that could prove actually that you were being hacked, being monitored. They could have traced any kind of links with other places. I mean, all the activity of the cellular, all your activity could have been retrieved, and you could have gotten a good idea of what was going on and where your information was going to. Uh, you would have had a much clearer image of what was going on, because all you're telling me, I put myself on your shoes, and I wouldn't know what to do, what to think. I mean, uh, I am just here alone. Nobody believes me. uh, I cannot go anywhere for help because nobody helps me. Actually, those who are supposed to help me uh, seems like they are my enemies. Where do I go? What do I do? My life goes on, but I cannot keep living like this. This has to stop.
Yeah, I think I got to the point after it, it got so bad. I was very close to committing suicide. Um, and I think when I passed that point where I didn't commit suicide, but I was still in the position, that's when I just started confronting everyone involved, and I started photographing people, and I'm nice to a fault, I think, but so when things looked weird, I just kept letting them go. And so now, again, with my husband and I don't take I take nothing from him anymore. I have no patience. I have no uh I'm a different person than I was before.
Yeah, the thing is that when I ask you about professional health, your anxiety and all that, these kind of situations really, uh, it's something impossible to prevent. I mean, you you suffer from. I mean, you have to search for professional help, because nobody can cope with this kind of pressure, this kind of sensation of being lost, being alone, not being believed of anything you're saying. Uh, and yeah, your mental health is something that you should care about, because these thoughts of committing suicide, yeah, are understandable after all the pressure that you're feeling, all the frustration, all the anxiety, all the feeling of being alone against the world. No human being can live with that without having consequences. And what you were telling me about, that I told you, you became paranoid. That's completely understandable. Anybody could become paranoid after all those things that you saw, that you realized, that you were observing. Basically, everywhere you went, you would you would look at everybody. You would, uh, I mean, it's a
Yes.
situation that is crazy, that nobody can live for that, like that, for a long time without suffering consequences in terms of mental health.
And I find that even trying to find a counselor that has some sort of specialty in this is not easy, because most of the people in the field aren't allowed to talk about what they do anyway. So no one's talking to anyone, and there's no study of how this is seriously affecting everyone. And there's no recourse to, if you get to this point where you have PTSD, or where you are just completely destroyed, finding someone that has the ability to understand what's happening. Yeah, I mean, they would have to have therapists with top secret clearances to be able to have any experience.
Yeah, well, in my case, I suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder and deep depression, and here I just search for help. I mean, when I felt I touched rock bottom, I realized that I had to search for professional help, or otherwise I wouldn't be able to recover. So I could get treatment. I was lucky that I could get proper treatment. I have been in treatment for more than a year now, and I am slowly recovering. But that's something essential. I mean, without that help that I got, uh, I would be in my bed. I mean, I probably would be dead by now, because I didn't care about anything. I wouldn't wake up off my bed. I could stay in bed for days without waking up. I wouldn't answer the phone. I wouldn't do anything. I just didn't care about anything. Uh, so,
Yeah,
the,
that's I understand. And I again, I have two boys, teenage boys, 13, and I don't want to talk about their ages, but I have two teenage boys, one who is autistic, and in addition, I have to make sure that their lives are not, you know, disrupted more than necessary by what's happening. My or my older son was starting to mimic my husband as far as calling me crazy. And um, I felt like I was kind of losing my family. And he's getting older, and I've been showing him the things that I've found, and he is now being a bit more of an advocate, because he does understand what I've found, whereas my husband does not.
well, yeah, that generates problems in your family with your husband, without any doubt. But you have a reason to forget about suicide. You have your kid that they need you. The, mm, I mean, you have a reason to fight and to try to. I know it's hard to find a way to get out of this, but you have a reason to do it, because In my case, I lost the love of my life. I lost my father not long ago. I am with only my mother and I. My mother is almost 70. She suffered from cancer last year. She was operated. She went through chemo, and that's all. That's my life. I mean, I lost everything, and I mean everything except what I have in my mind and my mother. And sometimes it's hard to find a reason to keep fighting when you have nothing left, uh, and all the things that you had were taken away from you when not long ago you had everything. Yeah, you have a perfect life. You have next to you a woman that was the love of your life. You have absolutely no economical issues. You basically could have anything in the world that you wanted, and from one day to another your life changed, and you find no explanation why that happened. That was my case. That one day I was eating ice cream with my girlfriend, and the day after that I was in a cell, arrested, and I didn't understand why, and I still don't understand why. And after that, my world completely changed, and I lost everything, and that's complicated. These are extreme situations that you only have to live them in order to understand how it feels. It's it's easy to tell the story, but if you haven't lived that, nobody would really understand what it is like to live situations like yours or mine.
Hmm. Yes, it is incredibly difficult
So,
to even know where to start. Either, you have the day-to-day pleasantries that you're trying to live, and you feel like you're living in a different world. Like you're just, I don't know, just trying to, you know, I go back and forth. How are you doing? Okay, I don't want to say that I'm great because, you know, who knows? At this point, I feel like if I'm being listened to and I'm being hurt, what if I say that I'm good? Now, are they going to use that as proof that nothing really happened? If I'm
do,
happy for 5 minutes, does that mean that I've made it all up?
do you have friends or
No, no, no. I don't have any friends. I don't. We were military. We moved around, uh, and every time I start to make friends, something else happens.
so
Like
basically, you have nobody to talk about all these issues. You have to keep them to yourself, and nobody believes you. You
yeah,
have
I used to talk to myself until I realized I was being recorded, and now I try not to think at all. I try to just shut my brain down.
Yeah, I understand that mechanism of the brain in order to try to protect. Yeah, I do understand that. I suffer that. I live that also. Uh, yeah, it. But first of all, you should really try to get uh, professional help regarding your mental issues, because uh, you you cannot cope with all that. I mean, yeah, that's the main thing I would do, and I don't know what are your options regarding that.
I'm actually looking right now. We have a call in to, again, nobody with experience in this sort of thing, but we're going to go to couples counseling to learn how to deal with each other, with the situation, with him being able to support me even though he doesn't understand what's happening. Um, so, and with me, possibly to get something that's, a medication that's going to be more effective when I am having just I have, I am actually bipolar as well. So sometimes I have that very manic stage and sometimes I am depressed, but I used to have that very well regulated for myself. I used to just take advantage of my more manic phases to do things and then
But do
make
you
sure they
take
were.
medication for your bipolarity? Are
No, I
you
do
being,
not.
you do
No.
not?
No, I
Yeah.
actually I was fine with it. Because I wasn't super manic or super depressed. So as long as I made sure that when I was manic, I was, while I'm home, it's not as big a deal. As a woman, it's a little harder because if you're a man and you're depressed, you can still, like, slap on some clothes and go to work. But I've been in sales and marketing. When I'm depressed, I don't want to spend 2 hours getting ready. I can't just slap on clothes and it makes it a little harder. You always have to be peppy and smiley and all of that. As a woman, it's a little harder to just function through it. But at home, I was doing all of the remodels at the house. So when I was manic, I would just, set up a project and try to get through it as much as I can. And then if I ended up depressed, I'd know that I was going to be leaving it for a little while. And then again, just doing it. And that was working just fine until everything else started, you know, falling apart, until all of this other stuff. And in
Yeah.
a way, because my family knew about the bipolar, they were saying that I was psychotic, and they were saying, they could just make stuff up because it's a mental illness, even though it's, if you suffer from it and you do bad things, that's just an excuse. It's just,
Yeah.
I think about it as just either extra adrenaline or, you know, or a regular depression. That's kind of how I mentally, worked with it myself. But now I'm almost manic all the time. Even when I'm depressed, I'm manic, just because my adrenaline is just on high all the time right now. Yeah, like I,
Yeah.
I
It's
just I just feel attacked constantly right now. And then finding all this out and then getting this police report back that's all wrong and everything's wrong. And so then I have to, then you have to do it again. And I had to call all the people back, and they were running me around, and I'm gonna have to pay for all of these hours of. I'm hoping to get some every time I find something or do something. I'm hoping there's some answer. There's, you know,
yeah,
something
but
that will make it end.
yeah, but I understand, and I am living that, and I hope to find an answer with any thing that any door that opens. But no, there is no answer, and that it's something like you feel like a relief initially, but then when you realize that there is no answer uh, mm, in that door, then it's like the you start losing hope, and you say, when will this stop? Will this stop eventually? And you wonder yourself that, and it's complicated. It's very complicated. uh,
Yeah.
so how did you get in touch with me, may I ask you?
How did I get in touch with you? I read your story. Once I found that uh, once I started finding this stuff and not being able to get any help with it, I started looking at more uh, cyber stuff. Yeah, again, I mean, I have no interest at all in any of this. I don't want to know at all how it works. Um, but when it's thrown in your face, basically I've been learning as from necessity, you know and as soon as there is more answers and this stops, I will never look at it again. For me, the hard part is online, because my entire life has been, buying and selling, auctions, fashion, that sort of thing, which is a day-to-day sort of visual medium. And I feel almost torn that I don't want to be online at all, but then I have no input in the things that make me happy. So I am, I, again, I'm just sort of right now, I'm waiting again. I've got to another waiting point. I'm waiting for this police video. to show up. I'm waiting to find out what exception means on my assault sheet. I'm waiting to find out why they left one of the officers that had more than 50% of my interview off this paper.
Yeah, but the be prepared for the worst. I mean, be prepared not to have any answers from those things that you are expecting. I don't want to be pessimistic or to try to depress you, but uh, mm,
Yeah.
so far all the things that have happened to you, uh, I am not lucky, and I don't think you're lucky neither. So be prepared. I mean, and if you don't get the answers, it's not the end of the world. Uh, we
Right.
we are constantly being hit by something that we cannot control, and we are still up. We are still up, and uh, I don't know. All I can tell you is that I can have some knowledge that might be useful for you in order to analyze all the information you have collected. So if you put that in a place where I can access to it, I have no problems to take a look at what you have, and maybe, just maybe, uh, I might be able to find something that can be of any meaning, can explain anything, can be useful to understand something.
Mhm.
Maybe, I don't know. That's all I can offer you. Uh, all I have is my knowledge right now left, and my skills that I am always willing to use that to help people. Uh, so that's what I can do for you. And also, only and only if you agree, I have this recording that I can put it in a podcast to deliver this and let people hear your story, and maybe, I don't know, maybe they will say that you're crazy, that you're making everything up, but maybe, and just maybe you're lucky. I mean, uh, you cannot be unlucky all the time. I mean, once you have to have luck, and maybe you can get an answer if you deliver your story. If people hear you, maybe somebody can have answers that you don't have, and magically you can get some idea of what's going on, or I don't know. If you keep this to yourself, and well, you share your story with me, which I appreciate your trust. I really value that. I mean, thank you very much for trusting me. You don't know me, uh, so that means a lot to me. So I can do that with your permission. I mean, you haven't shared any personal information about you or any detail that can identify you in any way, I think.
Mhm.
So uh, if you let me, I can do that, and I can also take a look at the things that you have collected all this time in order
Mhm.
to analyze that.
Okay. Yeah, I will go through and try to. I know that I sent you some screenshots of some of the bigger things that I found. Um, I'll go through and try to find the other ones, other things that you can look at and see if they make sense to you, that are along the timelines of the things that I said. And when I get these, whatever this is from the police, I'll let you have access to that as well. Again, I feel like my life is already, it's already out there, except it's been, jumbled. And so the truth is what I would like to be out there. Even
Yes,
if it's unflattering, it's not going to be as bad as whatever it's being made to look like.
yes. One question. from this person that was the perfect professional you were looking for that appeared out of the blue.
Mm.
Did she give you anything from her research, to call it somehow? Uh, did she give you any kind of um, document or anything about what she found, or anything?
No, no, she didn't. And that's part of it, is that I kept trying to get a hold of her, even though she was sort of flaky. And that's when she said, "Here, check this out." And that's when I clicked on that. And that was the malware. So it didn't even get past where she, she just immediately, that was it. Um, so I have her in some, as much of her information as I could get, but and I can actually find. I'll have to find the link, because that's the one where I said I sent that to the hacker that's online. That's apparently a famous hacker, and he verified that it was malware, and they he was like, "Don't put the link up though," because I had just put it on there as a link. Um,
Yeah.
so so then I pulled it off immediately, but I don't think I should have kept the access to the link. I'll have to find it again. Um, but I should be able to find the link to that malware.
Okay, probably the link doesn't work anymore. Those things
Oh,
are temporary, so they
oh,
just
okay,
work for a period of time, very, very short, and then they disappear. They just vanish. But if you find it, maybe they can uh, have some meaning, or they can give some kind of hint about anything. I mean, everything is anything that you have can be important. I mean, the most irrelevant thing that you might think you have can be actually the key to answer many questions. So anything that you have is important. Uh, so anything that you can provide can be useful. Mm, just
okay.
that.
Then I will
So
definitely go through to find it, because I may have taken photographs of the actual code for it as well.
okay, okay, perfect. So tell me, uh, you are with your mother. You told me you're with your mother living.
No, I live with my husband and my two little boys.
Okay.
But people thought that an older lady lived here because I looked much older.
Uh-huh. O-
And so there's some like old lady that she's always around, or like I said, I think someone's putting my face on somebody else. I
and
don't know. I
and
want to
and,
find the site so bad.
and how are your kids doing about all this? Uh,
They're my older son, it's affecting him, I could tell. But like I said, because he's getting a little bit older and he has a little bit of computer skill, he at least can see that I'm not crazy. um but my sadness obviously does affect him, even though I put on a brave face. I still try to be fun and all of that. um but it's affecting him. The younger one, again, he has autism, so he's kind of in his own world. He's fine. But
okay,
I was more engaged in their schooling. I'm just not as engaged as I have been.
okay, you have to be strong for them. So uh, there's,
Yeah.
I mean, it has to stop. The storm has to stop someday. I mean, we are in a storm, and the storms are not forever. So let's try to be positive, even though I know it's like when people used to tell me that let's try to be positive, I tell them, what the fuck, try to put yourself on my shoes. I mean, positive, fuck you.
I'm
Try to be
positive. You're
on my
pissing me
place.
off.
I mean, positive, fuck you, man. What's positive?
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
it's complicated. I mean, uh, So I tell you, try to be positive, and you might think to yourself, "Fuck this man," and I understand you. It's yeah, so it's okay. So
No,
let's
honestly, I appreciate it. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I've been completely blown off or looked at foolishly, or, so just having somebody that even slightly understands, and again, part of the reason I want to share this is because th- this cannot continue. There's it's just too easy. I feel like how many, especially women, I keep going back to that, but that's only because I'm at an age where there's just not that many women my age online. I'm Gen X, and we kind of, I grew up in Northern California, so I have always been involved in computers, but at least been online, not in the actual coding. My dad had some experience with that, but they've always been in my life. But for a lot of people my age, it's a foreign language, and it's easy to do this. The fact that I can't run an online business and just trust the companies that I'm using to protect me, and that the people that are, you know, that love to say, if you leave the door open, someone's going to come in. It's like, no, my door is open on my home. I don't expect someone just to walk in just because it's unlocked.
yeah,
People, it's almost like this mentality with the people that have this ability to know that there's this other world going on. They somehow feel that they're above and detached from what's going on, from the responsibilities that they have.
yes, absolutely. I absolutely understand that. Yeah,
I know
I
there's a
mean,
lot of hackers out there that are just watching.
yeah, yeah.
and
I am
and
also from Generation X, so
you get it. Not everyone knows what's happening. Yeah. But
yeah,
these younger generations, they're completely involved. They think older people are stupid. And again, I don't know when it happened, but they just don't seem to have the personal responsibility to not walk in someone's house.
yeah,
It's like these computer classes, they need to have ethics classes with these computer classes. There
yes,
needs to be some sort of training about the power that you have. It can't just all be a game that you have, literally life and death, because people are killing themselves over this. And it's not high school games, or, I mean, in a way it is. It's just that the whole world is involved now.
yes, absolutely. What's going on in the world is absolutely crazy. The things that are happening, I mean, society, from my point of view, is completely fucked up. Uh, ev- Everything is fucked up. I mean, the world. I mean, maybe I am wrong, but I think that the world is wrong. The society is wrong. Uh, I don't know.
There needs to be more. There needs to be repercussions. There needs to be uh, an expectation of the companies that they have to take care of these people. The fact that if you have these skills, that you are in a world where you're making huge amounts of money. You can get Bitcoin, you can create things where you just hook up people's computers. All of these people are making billions and billions of dollars, where other people who are trying to make a living at it, like I said, just for example, I bid on a painting. I expect, in the old days, not that long ago, before I was being hacked, I could get that painting for $150. It's literally worth like $4,000 now. There's always some cyber person watching me bid that has the money to just outbid me no matter what I bid. I no longer have the ability to make a living doing the thing that I have skills at, because someone else who's watching can steal my mental capital now.
yeah,
And until until that is illegal, or like I said, they do some ethical training, or they have regular police departments more concerned with cyber, or they just stop leaving all the back doors open, or quantum computing, whatever. Something needs to change, though. Right now it is just the criminals are running the asylum.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I'm doing in my life. That's one of the things that drives me. Uh, that I am willing to do and I am doing, and something that I concentrate and spend my energy doing is trying to change the system here in Uruguay regarding the way computer related crimes are being investigated, the laws regarding computer crimes, because we are here, police is stupid, incompetent, they know nothing. I told you, if I was a victim of a cybercrime, the not in this lifetime I would go to the police to report that. And in the USA, the problem is not that they lack of the knowledge or the skills to solve the problems that people have. They do, but they just focus on big cases of organized crimes. They appear on the news because they arrested an international organization that was operating on the dark web, selling drugs, and were laundering money with bitcoins, and were committing ransomware. Uh, i- they do that for the press. They go after those big players. They don't care about the average people. They don't care about you. They don't care about anybody who is just another citizen. They only go for those big criminals, and
Mhm.
they do it just for the press. And they have the resources. They have the skills. They have unlimited budget to prosecute them, and they get them. They arrest them, and you turn on the news and you see that they have dismantled a network of probably people that were trafficking pornographic images of children. But you don't see on the TV news that they arrested somebody who was harassing a teenager or a woman on a social network. You don't see that on the news.
Right, right. And how many are there? Is there? There's not even a list. There's not even a. Again, they wouldn't even really take my report. So they just, call me when they hack your credit card. No, they didn't hack my credit card. They, you know, outbid me every single time on something I used to make a living at. It's not. They're not going to just steal something off my credit card. They don't need to do that. They just need to watch and steal, again, your ideas, your, you know.
Yeah, your knowledge, that is your tool to live in this world. I mean, your knowledge is what you have in order to survive, to make a living. It's what's on your mind, your skills to buy, to sell. I mean, you have that knowledge, those skills that uh, makes you able to make a living from that, and they take that away from you, and they take your life.
Right. And I just wonder how bad it's going to get before it gets better.
Well, in my book, I said, never underestimate what your bad luck had saved you from worse luck.
Yes. The day that
Yeah.
I was feeling suicidal, I was about to take my car out, and I think that somebody had messed with it so it wouldn't start.
Well, uh, yeah, I mean, in my book, I wrote that in three parts of it, in three events that I thought, fuck, this can't get worse. And no, things got worse. Uh, I wrote that never underestimate what your bad luck has saved you from your worst luck.
Yes. That is perfect. Absolutely
Yeah.
perfect.
But anyway, let's do this. You try to collect all the information so I can take a look at that, and I cannot make you promises. I will just look at it, and maybe I can find something. Probably I won't. Let's be honest. You are not lucky. I'm not lucky. Uh, but who knows? Okay, so it's better to do something. The worst thing that we can do is not do anything. That's the worst decision that can be made from my point of view. Not doing
I agree.
anything is the worst thing that we can do.
Yeah, ignoring it, it seems to make people more bold.
Yes, absolutely. So let's do that, okay? Thank
Okay.
you very much for trusting me and sharing this story that is means so wow.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it. I mean, it's like I will watch the net with Sandra Bullock again, and I will try to. I will understand her frustration, the way she was feeling in that movie when she lost her identity. Nobody believed she was her. Uh, Basically, they removed everything about her from the systems, and she was desperate, trying to show that it was her, and nobody could believe her. And that's basically what your story reminds me of that movie. So uh,
Hmm.
thank you for contacting me, and we will keep talking using this account. You got rid of the other account.
I still have it. I find it hard to, you know, it's my name. I don't know. I don't know what else to do. I'm,
Okay.
but I'm gonna try not to use it for a while.
Yeah, just keep it safe. Change the password. Use two-factor authenticator if you can,
Uh-huh.
and you can make it inactive for I don't know. No, in Instagram it's 30 days. Here you can make it unavailable or inactive
Hmm.
for a limited time, and you don't lose the account.
Right.
So just taking it offline might be a good thing to do. Okay.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
No, thank you for trusting me and sharing your story. Uh, Thank you very much. And uh, the storm will eventually stop for both of us. So uh, we are still alive. So we, I
So
mean,
that's
how
something for sure.
yeah, how worse can it get? Fuck.
Exactly. Exactly. All
Okay.
right.
Take care, and if you need to talk anytime, just let me know. Maybe I cannot solve your problems, but I can hear you. If that helps you,
It does.
just let me know. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.